I want to distinguish, there's two different ways of using social media. There's building your business and brand. That's the good part. And then there's endless scrolling, watching kid videos and cat videos and just literally wasting your time. I don't think social media is bad unless you make it bad. One of the issues is people don't have a plan. So they're living in reactionary mode all day long. And instead of saying, okay, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do this week? They're just like, okay, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Well, that leads to overwhelm. That leads to frustration. That leads to a whole bunch of problems. I think the biggest thing people need to do is figure out what are up to 3 things you want to accomplish the next day. What I do is I always have my planner with me. Of course, I don't have it with me for a prop, but I always have a planner with me. And if an idea pops into my head, what I do is I turn the page to my planner tomorrow, and there's a spot there that says tasks that must be done today.
And that is coming up next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show, so stay tuned. So, the big question is this. How are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough? Use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams. Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder. That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. We have created a tremendous community of bootstrappers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ambitious, resourceful, and want to get things done. We brainstorm, support, and help each other out. So come join us. Navigate to bootstrapping.group, join today, and get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series absolutely free. If you enjoy this video, then do let us know by hitting that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, then go ahead and hit that thumbs down button and give us your honest feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tatternoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging videos, interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manuj Aggarwal, and today we'll be talking with Mark Struczewski. Mark is a productivity expert and entrepreneur who tries to help people to be more productive in a world full of distractions. He assists other entrepreneurs in gaining control of their time by taming distractions so that they can enjoy their lives in the process. He's an author, online trainer, and podcaster. And today he's going to share his process about how we can improve productivity step by step. Welcome, Mark.
Manuj, thank you so much for having me on the show. It is an absolute thrill to be here to help you and your audience.
Awesome. So productivity is a huge problem. I have read some statistics which are, really scary. Like productivity loss results in a loss to businesses about in trillions of dollars around the globe. So tell us a little bit about that. Like what is the root cause of this productivity loss? What is going on? And then we can jump on to some solutions to this problem.
I think it's a multi-part answer. Some people are lazy. They just don't want to be productive. They want to do the minimum amount of work they need to do every day. So that's one group of people. There's another group of people, they just don't know how. I mean, they want to be more productive, but they don't know how. And because they don't know how, they don't know where to reach out. They go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and spend time there or playing video games or whatever. So I think that there's a variety of people, but I got to believe, I like the best. I believe the best in both people. I think most people want to be productive. Most people want to be great members of society, but they don't know. And it's like, if I don't know how to do Facebook, I go find a Facebook expert. I just don't wing it. I don't quit. I go figure out who can teach me how to be better at it. So I think a lot of people are either lazy, but I think the vast majority of people, they just don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you think this rise of social media, as you said, people go to Facebook and YouTube, instead of looking for solutions, they end up getting distracted. And I know distraction are a big problem which give rise to loss in productivity. So is this advent of sort of social media, emails, and all that a big factor in our distraction?
Yeah, one thing people have to realize, and they know it subconsciously, is that social media is designed to keep you on the platform until you die. Okay.
Mhm.
Social media is not your friend. And I want to distinguish there's two different ways of using social media. There's building your business and brand. That's the good part. And then there's endless scrolling, watching kid videos and cat videos and just literally wasting your time. I don't
Yeah.
think social media is bad unless you make it bad. And like email, I mean, email could be a tool, it could be an ally, it could be something that's going to help you, or it could be a detriment to your productivity. So I think it's going to be unique for every person. I can't make a blanket statement and say all social media is bad or all email is bad. I think it depends on how you're using it.
I see. So, before we jump on to the solutions, let us get to know you a little bit. So, what happened? What transpired in your life that attracted you towards becoming a productivity expert?
Well, in July 2005, I was fired from my job here at a Houston hospital. And I decided, well, what am I going to do? I know I'll become an entrepreneur. Yeah, that's the word. And I didn't
Mm,
know what it was, but I figured I'd be an entrepreneur. My first dive into that field was in wedding and portrait photography. That business did not succeed. Obviously, I wouldn't be here on the show with you today. But one of the things that came out of that was my love for professional speaking.
I
And
see.
once I found my love for speaking, I didn't want to speak about photography because I originally was speaking on photography and teaching people how to take better pictures and what have you. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to speak on? So I came up with a couple of topics, which today I don't even know where I came up with. One is from hopeless to hopeful. That didn't go anywhere. Another one was how to overcome roadblocks on your path to success. Note to self: when you're not successful, don't tell people how to be successful. So
Mhm.
one day I was on a phone call with one of my coaches, and I was not having a good day. And he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "I really like, helping people and speaking and training and stuff like that, but I don't know what I should teach on." He says, "Well, why not productivity?" And I remember saying to him, "I don't know where that came from, but why would you say that?" And he goes, "Well, because you're naturally productive. I know a lot of people, and you're one of the most productive people I know. You should share that gift for the world." And so then I started going, wow, to me, being productive is real easy, but I know
Mhm.
most people struggle with it. So I decided to hang my shingle, so to speak, and out for the world to see. And I became a productivity expert.
Awesome. All right, that's an interesting story. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the solutions. Like, what are some of the challenges that you think people face, and how can they address those challenges and become more productive?
Well, people are so overwhelmed and it's self inflicted because what they do is they have every notification turned down on their phone. And so their
Yeah.
phones are constantly binging and zoinking and vibrating all day long. They can't focus on what they really need to focus on. So, the first thing I tell every client is turn off notifications. And they have this deer in headlights look. They're like, well, what if someone needs to get a hold of me? I'm like, dude, you're not that important. Okay. I'm not that important. Manuj, you're not that important. We think we're more important than we really are. We're important to our moms and maybe our family, but we're not that important. I think people need to let go. And the thing is if you can harness what I call a notification cleanse, turn off 99.99% of your notifications, your phone is not going to buzz as much and you're going to have more peace because you're not going to be worried, oh, my phone just buzzed. Who could that be? And then we become overwhelmed and we could become so focused on replying to those messages, those text messages, those voicemails, those notifications from social media, that's all we do all day long is we just focused on that. And we're not focused on things that are going to move the needle for us to achieve the goals we want. So I think people, first of all, need to turn off notifications for almost everything. Now, you can leave your calendar notifications on and your reminders. If you have a credit card app like I do, every time I use my card, it notifies me, which is a good thing because if I'm here in Houston, Texas, and it says my card was used in Pakistan, well, that'd be good to know. But most notifications need to be turned off.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, I can vouch for this. Ever since I've been interviewing this, I have actually had to turn off some notifications by necessity. And I mean, it is kind of peaceful. You don't have to worry about it. But once in a while, I do miss an important message or an email or what have you. So, how do you like? Is there a workaround towards that where you actually can work in peace, but also get sort of urgent messages if you're waiting for somebody, or if it's truly urgent. How do you tackle that situation?
If it's truly urgent, I hope someone picks up the call, picks up the phone and calls me. I mean, my house is on fire. Don't send me an email. Okay. Come bang on my door. And I think what I tell people to do, like I have my vibration mode turned off on my phone. So if I truly want to be undisturbed, I put it on mute, vibration won't go off, and I put it face down and I just ignore the phone. I am not that important. I mean, if it's really, truly urgent, and I've had some urgent messages, people leaving voice messages, Mark, call me right away. I mean, I call them 30 minutes later, and it turns out not to be an emergency. I mean, let's be honest here. Okay, I'm a productivity expert. Okay, I never had a productivity emergency. Sometimes I do have family emergencies, and I don't always have my phone muted. But if I'm like right now, I'm doing this interview with you. My watch is muted, my phone is muted because I'm dedicating my time to you and your audience. If someone calls me right now, my phone is face down. I don't even know I get the call. And so you're not going to be able to catch everything. But I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. We're not that important 99% of the time, which is a statistic I just literally made up. Most of the time, it's okay if you miss the stuff. It's not, you're not that important. I think people are, I'll give you an example. I'm 54. And I remember when I used to go to school, there was no cell phones. There was no internet. And if mom wanted to get a hold of me, she had to call the school office. They had to have a student go down to the classroom to get me out of class. I'd walk down to the office, talk to my mom, and walk back to school. Now kids are like, and the parents say, I had my cell phone. I got to get a hold of my kid. I'm like, really? How did I survive? How did thousands and thousands of people survive without having a cell phone? You got to remember, cell phones weren't around since the beginning of time. They're relatively a new invention. So yes, they're a very integral part of our day. But if you lose your cell phone, we have heart palpitations. You go to the emergency room, we're having a heart attack. It's just anxiety. Okay, it's okay. Take a breath. You'll be all right.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Cell phones have not been around for long. But let's go back to 2005 when this whole thing transpired in your life. Yeah. Even then, notifications and social media was not like a big thing at that time. But even then, productivity was an issue. I remember, like, ever since I started working in professional setting, this was back in 1999, like people were complaining, we don't have enough time, there's too much to do. So besides social media, besides notification, there are some more underlying issues as well, I think. So do you agree with that? If so, what are some of the issues that people face and how can we resolve them?
I think one of the issues is people don't have a plan. So they're living in reactionary mode all day long. And instead of saying, okay, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do this week? They're just like, okay, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Well, that leads to overwhelm. That leads to frustration. That leads to a whole bunch of problems. And so I always tell people, have a plan, okay? Have a plan. Yeah, if you work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for a company, yeah, okay, they have control of your day from 8 to 5. But, still have a plan. Still sit down and go, okay, what do I want to accomplish this week, either professionally or personally? I think just taking that time and thinking about what you want to do with your life is really going to be life-changing. But most people, they're so busy on social media. They're so busy playing video games. They're just in reactionary mode. They're not stopping to go, okay, what do I want out of my life today, this week, this month, this year, the next 5 years? Most people, I hate to say this, but if you put a gun to their head and say, tell me your goals, you'd probably wind up pulling the trigger. They go like, I don't know. Like, how do you live without having goals? I mean, the whole point of being productive is you have a goal. You're aiming for something. When they launch a missile from a submarine, that missile doesn't just go up and randomly go hit a target. It knows where it's going to go. And I'm shocked at the number of people I know personally that they have no goals. And I'm like, how do you get up in the morning? I mean, what are you aiming for? You woke up. That's your goal. You woke up this morning. And I think people need to really step back and go, okay, what do I want out of life? And I don't care if you're 22 or 92. What do you want out of life?
Yeah. Do you think this is an inherent problem in the way we raise kids or educate them? Because I do find, this problem is becoming a little bit more sort of, it's becoming a bigger problem with millennials and Gen X and so on and so forth. People who are, they grew up with social media. They grew up with these devices from an early age. So what is your observation?
That's a very interesting question. I think I blame partly the parents, because the parents should be teaching the kids, you need to have a plan. No, you can't be on social media all these hours. I think it's got to start from the top. Like if a company wants to institute a new policy, it's got to start from the top and work its way down. It can't come from the middle managers. It's got to come from the top. So it's a very interesting question, because I really think I see a lot of people pointing fingers. They're blaming Facebook, they're blaming Android, they're blaming Apple. It's not my fault I'm addicted to Instagram. Yeah, it kind of is. If you're an adult, it's your fault, because guess what you can do? You can actually log out of your account. You can delete your account. You can delete the app. So, I've told some people to do this. If you're so addicted to social media and you can't stop wasting your time endlessly scrolling, then it may be time you delete your accounts and live life off of social media. There is life off of social media. I know some people are very, very wealthy and successful, and they're not even on social media. So it is possible. And I think people are doing social media because it's easy, and they have all these, the videos and the gifts and, the funny things. And we're just so addicted to social media. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let's take the other side of the coin as well. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, people who are either working on their startups or they are aspiring to become a startup entrepreneur. And the fact is, when they need to sell their service or product, they have to account for social media, because most of the people are on that platform, these kind of platforms. So they have to engage with them. They have to get traction using social media as one of the strategies, one of the core strategies, if I can say. So in that situation, it becomes a necessity. It's a business tool for them. So how do you reconcile that with what we discussed so far?
Well, when you are building your brand, when you're trying to build brand awareness, you have to be on social media. There's no ways around it. You have to be on social media. And when I tell people is, again, remember I just talked about planning. You need to schedule time in your calendar. Okay, I'm going to be on social media during this time, or I'm going to be writing a blog post, or I'm going to be writing an article for like Thrive Global or something like that. You've got to be planning this stuff, because if you don't plan your content you're going to put out or the activities you're going to do, guess what's going to happen? You're going to pick up your phone and scroll endlessly on social media. You need to be on social media, but you need to be on social media with a plan. And I plan every day, the night before I plan my day, and the morning of, I review my plan. Okay, is this really going to move the needle? Am I really going to achieve my goals? And a lot of times I spend time on LinkedIn. That's my number one platform. Or I may be working on my podcast or creating a video. It's always about how I can help people become more productive in our distracted world. And I'm very careful of my time, because I know you're going to find this very shocking news, but everyone has 24 hours in a day, everyone. Mm-hmm. And you get to choose. Even if you go to work, you get to choose how you spend the 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And if you choose to waste your time on social media, then you can't complain about the results you're not getting, because you're not putting in the work. So when you're building a business or brand, you do need to be on social media, but I think you need to have a plan. Okay, am I going to go reply to comments? Am I going to post? Am I going to create content like a video? Or what am I going to do? Am I going to write a blog post for my website? You need to have a plan, and then you need to figure out, okay, I tried this last week. That didn't move the needle. Let me try something different. Always be figuring out, what can you do next to move the needle?
Got it. And now you brought up a very good point as well. You need to plan your day, and you need to know exactly what you're trying to accomplish, what will move the needle. So can you give us any specific tactics or strategies people can use? Maybe a framework, because there are many frameworks available for this type of work. But I just want to get your take on it. How can people plan better and execute on that plan?
I think the biggest thing people need to do is figure out what are up to 3 things you want to accomplish the next day. What I do is I always have my planner with me. Of course, I don't have it with me for a prop, but I always have a planner with me. And if an idea pops into my head, what I do is I turn the page to my planner tomorrow, and there's a spot there that says tasks that must be done today. And I write down all I want to do tomorrow. Now, I will not get to everything I need to do tomorrow. But then when I sit down my plan, I look at my day tomorrow. Okay, I got a podcast interview here, a radio interview here. I got to do this here, a coaching client here. Okay, I got 4 hours left over. Okay, I'll look over at that list and say, okay, what can I fit in today? Okay, I can fit these three things in. The rest of the stuff gets moved to the next day because you can't do everything every day. It's impossible. But I also spend time to read. When I found out the high performers like Mark Cuban and Brendan Burchard and Tony Robbins are avid readers, I'm like, if they read and they're very successful, I think reading is pretty important. So I actually spend 60 minutes a day minimum reading books to help me in my career. And I think everybody needs to do that. So I will sit down there and I will, again, there's stuff already planned, like this interview is already scheduled weeks ago. That's already on my schedule. So when I looked at my schedule for today, last night, I said, okay, this interview is already there. I had another interview later on today. I've got, a couple other things already that have been scheduled for weeks. And I'm like, okay, how do I fill in the rest of the spots? And then that's where I fill in the rest of the spots. And then that's how I get so much done every day. What a lot of people do is they have the stuff that's scheduled, like our interview today, which I call a fixed appointment. And then the other 4 hours, they go, well, I'll figure something out. No, don't figure something out. Purposely figure out what you want to do during that time slot. I mean, if you got to walk your dog once a day, well, don't hope you have time, because I'm pretty sure the pooch wants to go for a walk. Schedule a 30-minute chunk that you'll take the dog for a walk. Or if you want to go to lunch with friends, schedule that. Don't just hope you have time, because hope is not a strategy.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of tools, you mentioned planners. So are you in favor of sort of written, handwritten plan, or digital devices or calendars are okay as well?
I love my planner, and I've used several of them. Disclaimer, I haven't used all of them. There's a billion of them out there. The one I've been using for the last 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 months is Brendan Burchard's High Performance Planner. You can get it at Amazon. It's like $20. The one thing I like about his planner is it's got morning prompts, okay, questions you ask yourself in the morning, and then review for the day. Along the top, it's got a message to yourself, the top 3 things you want to do today, other tasks, who do you want to show up big for, a place for the planner, and it's got a place for notes. At the end of a week, you get to review the week. At the end of the month, you get to review the month. It's really important. I love this. So I schedule everything in the planner with my pen, with my own handwriting, and then I transfer it to my iPhone. The problem is, if you just do it electronically, it doesn't really resonate between your fingers and your head. But when you sit there and look at your blank screen, or your blank page, and you see where the stuff's already, the fixed appointments are, what's going to go where, it takes some more brain cells to plan your day. If you just pull out your phone and just like put anything there, it really doesn't like resonate with your brain. So I find it most effective to do it on paper on purpose. And you don't have to use Brendan Burchard's planner. It's the one I use and recommend. You can use a yellow sheet, a yellow pad if you want. But always do that first and then transfer it to your electronic device.
Okay. What about the tasks that maybe you did not get done? Maybe there was an external dependency. You needed some resource which is not available. How do you move it from one day to another?
Again, if I move it one day to another, I actually write it down in my planner first before putting it on my electronic calendar. And by the way, you mentioned reminders and stuff. I have a rule that if something takes you longer than 5 minutes, it should be an event on your calendar. So longer than 5 minutes goes an event on your calendar. And one of the tips I tell people all the time is, let's say you want to read a long article or a long email, and you really don't have time because you know it's going to take about 15 minutes. Actually schedule that on your time. I do this every once in a while. Say, I'll put a link to an article and I'll put like read at like 2:00 and I'll put the link there, because if I don't schedule it, I may not have a 15-minute chunk of time unless I specifically plan for that. So a lot of people, they have all these emails and all these articles they want to read, and they just go, someday, and then someday never comes. Put it in your calendar. You can just put it like read or whatever. Just intentionally plan it, because a lot of times you may get something you want to read and like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me 10 minutes to read. You don't have time for it. Well, if you don't plan for it, you're never going to get to it. Yeah.
And what about the fact that, as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, or people who are in a decision-making capacity, a lot of the time is actually demanded by other people, right? So people need to meet these people, get their decisions and all that. So as you go higher, in my experience, you start to lose a little bit of your control on your own time. So do you have any recommendations on that? Like how do you control your time and make sure that you don't give too much away to other people and still be more effective in as a leader?
It's interesting because I just did a video on this not too long ago, and I said to people, you got to stop doing the things you need to do that can be done by other people. So let me say that again in case people missed it. You got to stop doing the things you need to do that can be done by other people. So let's say you have to create a spreadsheet, but every time you think of creating a spreadsheet, you get a migraine, your neck hurts, you start getting cold sweats. Well, maybe there's Susie down the hallway, works in another department. She lives, breathes, and dreams about spreadsheets. Well, you can call her, and before you even finish asking her, she probably goes, "I'll do it," because it lights her up. So you need to do the spreadsheet. I'm not saying don't do the spreadsheet. I'm just saying go get someone who can do it better than you and who really loves it. A lot of people are control freaks, and they want to do everything themselves. They want to have their hand in the cookie jar. They want to do everything. But maybe you're not the best person. Yes, your job requires you to do it. You have to present that spreadsheet to the board. I get that. Maybe you can give the data to Susie and she can do a remarkably awesome job for you and make you look really good. I think a lot of people are doing things that they are better off outsourcing or delegating to somebody else.
Yeah. But okay, so that's an excellent point. We utilize our time and make more room. But let's say, for example, I'll give you a concrete example, right? So when I schedule these podcast interviews, I have to send out a link to my calendar so that people can sort of see what is their availability and they can reconcile it with my availability and they schedule the time. So in many cases, it's all working out because I make sure there are enough slots for the interviews. In some cases, they schedule it at a very odd interval, or it's very close to another meeting that I am having. So in some way, I feel like I'm losing a little bit of a control on my own calendar. So that's what I was pointing out. Do you experience that people have this problem in their lives, or is it just me?
No, it's not just you. One of the things I picked up from Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Gary Vaynerchuk is. He says everything's your fault. So don't point the finger. I remember one time, because I use a service like you do, and I made a mistake, and I didn't I like to have my interviews spaced out by 2 hours, and I put two of them back to back. That's my fault. Now, what I did is I went to the guests. Can we change it? They said yes. So I take responsibility. If you're a leader and you feel like you're burning the candle at both ends or four ends and you're just going crazy, well, I think the first thing you need to do, and this is going to be counterintuitive, if you feel so overwhelmed, like everything's caving in around you, what you need to do is take your phone out of your pocket, put it on the desk, walk out of your office, tell your executive assistant, hey, listen, I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Go outside. I don't care if it's hot or cold. Don't stand in the rain, but with nobody else around you. If someone wants to come and talk to you, say, look, I need some time alone. And I don't want you thinking about what happened, what is happening, what you're going to do next. I just want you to close your eyes. I want you to do several deep breaths. And I just want you to be peaceful. Because what happens is we don't realize how much our bodies and brains are processing through everything we see. And I give this advice to everyone, just to take a 5 to 10 minute break away from your work area without talking to anybody else, without being on your phone. You close your eyes, do a couple deep breaths, and then you come back in. Now you have an all natural energy. That is often so effective that people go, oh my gosh, okay, I found out what I had to do next. Okay, this is how I'm going to solve this problem. But what happens is they get frustrated, and then they're trying to push a rope. They're getting more frustrated, and it just compounds the problem, where if they would have just walked away for 5, 10, 15 minutes all alone and taken some deep breaths and close their eyes, they would come back refreshed. But most people go, I'll get a break when I finish this. Well, yeah, but you're causing yourself stress and anxiety. Why don't you go take a break now? And everyone I've given that to, everyone I've given to. Now, one person said, oh, that didn't work. They all say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how effective that was. So sometimes when you're in the battle, sometimes you need to take a break. You need to take a time out, put yourself in the penalty box, whatever phrase you want to use, and just go breathe.
Yeah, that's cool. And so one of the last questions, this has been quite educational, all the things that you have said. Now, how do we take it and sort of bring these strategies into our long-term goals? So, I think I get the gist of how you plan your day, maybe your week. But now, what about your long-term goals? What about what I want to do this month, or maybe even, as you said, like, what is your 5-year goal? How do you take it from that level and sort of have it all aligned so that you're working towards your long-term goals as well?
What I think everyone should do is they should get a notepad and some pens and get like a favorite beverage, preferably not alcoholic. Go someplace quiet. Nobody's talking, no TV, no music, and just sit there by yourself and go, okay, what do I want to accomplish this month, this year, in 3 years, in 5 years? And just write. Don't worry about if it's crazy or not. Just write it down. And then after you get all this stuff written down, what's going to happen? You have two phases, by the way. The first phase, you're going to be writing, and all of a sudden, nothing. And this is where people make a mistake. The people quit this point. And I say, stick with it, because the ideas are way back in your subconscious mind. If you wait long enough, they're going to start coming forward and like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in 5 years. Write everything down. And when you get the whole exercise down, it may take you 30 minutes, it may take you an hour, whatever it is. It's your gift to yourself. Then you go, okay, what is most important out of all these things I wrote down? What is most important? What do I want to take action on right now? Because we're trying to do too much. That's the problem I deal with all my clients, is overwhelm. We're trying to do too much. And I'm a big fan of simplicity. I'm like, simplify it. What is the next thing you need to do? Not the next 50, the next thing. And so many people are not worried about the next step. They're worried about 30 steps down the road, but they don't realize the next step is off a cliff. Okay, well, no, worry about the next step. So I encourage people to do that exercise.
Cool. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And I'm sure a lot of people got valuable tips, and they can be more productive in their work and personal life. Before I let you go, can you tell us how people can reach out to you?
Yes, the easiest thing for people to do, because you're not going to be able to find markstruczewski.com. So I have a redirect, mrproductivity.com. That's Mr. all spelled out. When you go there, it takes you to my website. You're welcome. There, when you first go there, there is a thing at the top of my page that says, join the 7-day productivity challenge. Give me 2 minutes a day for a week. I'll give you simple strategies to becoming more productive. While you're there, you can also apply for a free coaching session with me, and you can find out where I'm on social media. Everything is at mrproductivity.com.
Thanks again, once again, for being with us today, and it's been a really entertaining and educational episode.
Manuj, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was an absolute honor to serve both you and your audience.
Thank you. And that's all for now. Until next time. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or a career professional, then I invite you to join our growing community. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. As a welcome bonus, you will get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series and Mastering Your Inner Game video series absolutely free. This series of short videos address some core issues which are instrumental in helping you move forward in your business or career. The videos are yours to view and share for free. No obligations or strings attached, except for one. You have to take action and implement it. So join us today. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out the other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.